Well, West Ham. Well. Hope you're safe and well. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is live. Keep your comments coming in. Now, the results have been in for today. West Ham haven't played. We've got Nottingham Forest tomorrow. And if you haven't seen it already, kudos with a masterpiece for Tottenham. Tottenham, right. And yeah, I watched a bit of the game and Bournemouth looked like they absolutely dominated Spurs. They absolutely dominated them, and I think they've been humbled a little bit, and I think a lot of the fans I'm starting to see kind of turning on the Mohamed Kudus situation. But I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about West Ham. And I've already did a show today talking to you about the potential rumour of Paqueta leaving West Ham. Now, Sean Wheatston, your favourite ITK, is speaking out, and he's suggesting that he, and Jacob Steinberg as well, has also stated that Pac-Man did train with West Ham and has travelled with the squad. So, there is that. However, they also said that it will be determined tomorrow if or not should he play, that then a fee may be agreed with a club. Now, that's the Paqueta situation. So, Paqueta has travelled with the West Ham squad. He's trained today and he has travelled with the West Ham squad. It sounds like negotiations are taking place between West Ham and other clubs, potentially for the sale of him. Now, Aston Villa have made an offer, and the offer is a £5 million loan fee. And should that then be triggered, the potential obligation or option, it's a £45 million fee. Now, that doesn't suit me. That doesn't sit well with me, and I'm not happy with that potential option. I would prefer West Ham, if Paqueta is going to go to abroad, go to Saudi Arabia, go elsewhere. Just stay completely away from the Premier League and all that sort of stuff. So what we do know is Paqueta has travelled, but another player, apparently, according to Sean Wheatston and other reports coming out from the mainstream media, has refused to travel. And what we're led to believe is that player that's refused to travel is Naif Aguerd. Now, we were hearing the stories breaking that Sunderland over this summer have been paying a key interest in bringing him in to them and are keen to bring him into the club. But Marseille earlier in the window had made an offer for Aguerd, but we had all maybe been under the understanding that Potter had maybe convinced Aguerd to stay. But after the start to the season, it looks like West Ham maybe see an option to move him on. And Marseille have entered the picture again and are apparently trying to do a deal with West Ham to take Aguerd away from the club. Potentially also take Emerson Palmieri, who's not featured at all in the summer pre-season and or the Premier League so far. So there could be a double deal there for them to happen. Now, if the player has refused to travel, then it's despicable and it's not good. It's not good for the player. And as many people are saying on mainstream media, you need to let them, you should not reward them at all. And it looks like the player, obviously the player doesn't want to be at the club, and that can send the bad messages within the squad. And that's exactly what we need to avoid, especially right now, but for the amount of time for the problems that West Ham have got, we cannot afford to have any more rot in that changing room. Now, this is all according to reports. We don't know for a fact. We don't have the facts in front of us. We've only been presented with the information that's came our way, and that is what's led to believe is that he has refused to travel with the West Ham squad for the Nottingham Forest game. Like I said, no player should do that under any circumstances. And I said earlier on in the video when I was talking about Paqueta, I was mentioning the Isaac situation, and he is setting a bit of a precedent, to be honest with you, when such a high-profile player, a player that is a quality player, just refuses to play for the club. It sets a precedent amongst the rest of the players, and when it comes to such a vital point in the season, really vital in the season, then if you set that precedent, you force the club's hand, and it makes it very, very difficult, especially if the club needs the money. Now, the difference, I suppose West Ham are in the same boat as Newcastle, because West Ham don't have as much money, and Newcastle will want bang for their buck. They don't want to sell the best player, because Isaac is a very, very good player, quality player who adds value to any team he goes into. However, refusing to play for the club is despicable, disgrace, and it looks like he doesn't want to stay at Newcastle. So Newcastle are going to want to, their hands are tied, and they need that money in the door. When it comes to Agerd, the problem with West Ham is our hands are tied, because we don't have the money to go, and we need to go and reinvest. My concern is that we're leaving everything, and have left everything to the last minute. We are talking about a few days left of the transfer window, and we're still doing crazy business. Now, you might say to me, getting rid of Agerd is not crazy business, but it's not crazy business if we bring someone else in, and we're talking about a player like Charlie Creswell, who I've mentioned in the previous videos. That's a player I would be keen on bringing into the club, because I think Charlie Creswell would come in, he would fit in, no-nonsense defender, which is what I think we desperately need at this club. But like I want to repeat again, I'll jump into the comments in a second, it's not Paqueta that's refused to travel. Apparently, according to sources close to the club, Naif Agerd has refused to travel with the squad for the Nottingham Forest game. Truly, there's a swap deal involving Abraham and Sangar, Pac-Man and 25 plus 30. Gaz, I don't see Pac-Man wanting to go to Nottingham Forest, to be honest. We don't want a loan deal. I think the Pac-Man is staying. It's going to be an interesting one, and to be honest with you, here's where I'm at. If we can convince Pac-Man to stay until January, and we do bring in the relevant recruits, then so be it. And if he can stay and he's not got that kind of burden on the back of his head in terms of the threat of suspension, etc., then we probably could keep him at least till January and see if there's an element of going, listen, West Ham can progress as a club. I just don't want to see West Ham lose Paqueta to the Premier League. I don't want to see us do what we did with Kudus, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Who knows? He's playing and we need him. Yeah, absolutely. Frog in a well-fine refuse to pay whoever it's their wages and F off. Completely agree. I think it's total disrespectful, disgraceful that a player would refuse to want to play for the club, but you need to sack him off if he does. Baratelli 32 says, I believe any club bullshit, as we have only been trying to flog them. I think fans need to wake up to Sullivan's mouthpieces, and this is the other concern. You're right, Baratelli, because I do think there's an element of we're fed all the news through the mainstream media, through certain reporters, all coming from one person only, and it's the mouthpiece, that is David Sullivan. I mean, it's relentless. It's relentless with this club. Absolutely relentless. Wish Potty would refuse to travel from Peter Tons. Ian says, want Pack to stay. Nerf can go if we have someone else in the pipeline, but not Harwood Bellis. Thank you. That's the other rumour, that West Ham are potentially looking at Harwood Bellis because it could be a cheaper option, bringing him into the club. But yeah, I think we all are on the same wavelength when we want to bring in another player to come in, hit the ground running. That player I would like to bring in would be Charlie Creswell, because I think he would be a very, very solid signing. If any of you watched the England under-21s last summer, he was frightfully good, and I think he would he's gone over to the French League and for Toulouse has hit the ground running and is smashing it over there. So yeah, if we can bring him in, then add that to what we've got in the back line, and I think he solidifies a little bit more than what we are of that back line. But yeah, again, I'm massively disappointed in that situation. I mean, to be fair, we were told that he didn't want to come back to the club, and his message when he left us back last summer to go to Sociedad made you feel like he was heading out the door for the longer term. That he'd never seen that just as a loan deal. He looked like he was potentially going to be heading properly out of the club. But it looks like he has refused, and that's what's happening. I wish he'd leave team selection to ChatGPT as well. That's an interesting one. You've actually given me a point of view. I've just jumped on there. What would your here we go. Would your West Ham starting 11 be the Nottingham Forest? Let's see what it says. Right, that's a good thing that you've given me. Right, where is the professionalism? This is a loser mentality, 100%. That's not up to date, is it? Right, they've got... It's totally not up to date, so we'll just ignore that one. He put Vladimir Sofala in the team. Edson Alvarez in the team. Naif Aguerd is also in the team. However, it's really weird because they've got Mateus Fernandes making his debut in there and Jared Bowen leading the line for West Ham. Even without him leaving, we wanted another centre-back. It's too close to do stuff like this. It always is too close to be doing stuff like this all the time. Anthos says Karen Brady expects us to take the club seriously. Well, I don't know what she expects. You know, businesswomen, yeah, running a club. For the fans, not so much. Is it Paqueta? No, it is not. We're led to believe he has travelled. Do not worry. Do not worry about this. This is changing, right? This is my new setup, but this is all changing. Hopefully in the next week you'll see a massive change, so don't worry about that. Aguerd down tools the season before he left. This wouldn't surprise me, absolutely. I don't think we can ever accept the loan fee for Paqueta, no, 100%. Until the deal is done, you are a West Ham player, absolutely, but you know, to be honest with you, I don't think that really pays much dividends these days anymore. It doesn't really stand for much. It doesn't matter. Contract doesn't really matter anymore because a player can force their way through, especially if they know a club. I think it's different if you're a Man City and you're a Liverpool because you've got the squad that's ready, and to, you know, maybe those clubs can afford to not let those players play. You don't want this to happen to any club, but if it does happen, then they will afford to be able to say, well, you're not going to be playing and we're going to sit you on the bench and this is what we have as repercussions for you. But with a team like West Ham and a team like Newcastle, we can't afford to have players do that, and then they know that, and then they forced our hand into the move. Aguerd is not good enough anyway. He looks weak. I'm just hearing right now, Hammer 89. Has he refused, or have sources been told he's refused in order to lessen the blow? That's what we've been told is that, and it's sources close to the club, that a player, which we're led to believe is Aguerd, has not travelled, has refused to travel with the squad. Now, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that that Sullivan would spin this story if he wants to sell the player. It doesn't make sense. But if the player wants to move, that would make more sense. So, but I don't agree with it, but it would make more sense. The clowns that run this club like a sweet shop need to clear off. Right, so other stuff that's coming out of the mainstream media is Paqueta has zero intention of leaving West Ham this window. His family are settled. I'm told close family members also want him to remain at the club. An agent close to Sullivan is the one pushing for a move and leaking it to the press. Very, very interesting. Joe Cole on TalkSport earlier was so disappointing. I didn't hear it or see it, Oscar, so can you tell me what was said? Aguerd is and always has been shit in the Prem. I'd happily let him swim to Marseille, my God. Gatesy back in the house, the West Ham massive. If you haven't, go and check him out. Hi Anton, hope you're well. If Paqueta has asked or told the club he's unavailable for Forest, he's in the same bracket as Payet and Arnautovic. Well, it's very, very tough to believe what you hear because we don't know until it's actually physically happened, but I'm seeing mixtures of stories that it's the agent spinning the story to get the move for Paqueta, that Paqueta potentially wants to stay at West Ham. Isn't this just the classic Sully, don't blame them and not me? 100%. Creswell would be quality. Oscar, was he banging on about Mourinho? Listen, someone asked me the question earlier on, would West Ham go for Mourinho? And I think the only way West Ham would go for someone like Mourinho would be if we get smashed by Nottingham Forest, and it would not, just wouldn't put it past them. The manager that ruined them. So it's Aguerd who refused to travel, not Paqueta. That's according to the rumours. Aguerd is a waste of space. Jake Collins says Aguerd has been a problem for a long time. The guy's a liability. Hope he leaves. I'm dreading Forest tomorrow even more now. At least 5-0. My God, that would be a disaster, mate. That would be a disaster. Again, I've got an element of hope that I've got hope that we sign Fernandes in time and he will come into this team and potentially transform our midfield a little bit. I've got a hope that Paqueta is going to play because I think that would free up Paqueta if you've got a Fernandes type player in there and we lose the old immobile legs in the middle of the park. If we replace Agerd with Creswell, then I'm happy with that. Agerd has never been up to it. The only issue would be it leaves a bit light on the left-sided centre-back with only Keelman. I agree with you 100%. Is it from the agent? And it could be, and I think it might be. By Agerd refusing to play, will he go cheaper? I don't know. Because this is why, if this is being spun by the West Ham owners, it doesn't make sense, because West Ham owners would then lose out on the finances for a deal like that. I would accept 15 to 20 million for the defender. I don't know if we would even remotely get anywhere near that. Paqueta cannot be allowed to leave without a massive signing. Elliott on another immediate first team player. Either way, I'd be gutted if he goes. I completely agree. But, and there is a but, if this is where I accept Paqueta going, so I'm going to ask you the next question. What would be acceptable for Paqueta to leave? So the question I'm going to put a few other questions in amongst that. Who would you be okay about him going to? How much for? And who would be the replacement player? Right. So I'll answer the questions. I'll accept the 60 million. I don't want the 60 million, but I'll accept the 60 million if he goes. I don't want him coming to the Premier League, so I'll accept their Saudi Pro League. And I want West Ham to replace him with Harvey Elliott. I completely agree with that sentiment. Harvey Elliott is the one I would like to bring him in. Well, if that's true about Sully and the agent, there would be riots if he was sold. Joe Cole was talking about Mourinho to West Ham. No mention of Sullivan, but then when Man United was mentioned, he went straight to the Ines. Yeah, Pac played this fan base like a fiddle. Well, we have to wait and see. Again, it's all rumours, and it might be the media outlets spinning stories just to get the benefits of what they want. So yeah, I don't know what that's. Don't know what that's going to be, isn't it? If Paqueta goes, I don't trust Sullivan to fix. Probably say we would try, but it was too late. Sullivan, he can do this. Leon says no. Cole said Bowen should move to a bigger club playing in Europe, and that Marino would be good for the club. Jeez, oh. I mean, listen, this I'm not dead against. This. Conor Gallagher, someone that I think adds pace and tenacity in that middle of that park. I've said this for such a long time. He's got Premier League experience and he's not getting regular game time at Atletico Madrid. It's just someone I'm intrigued about. Maybe a loan deal. If Agerd goes, I think we need two centre-backs, to be honest, as we've seen him a bit light in there. Anyway, the cat says my name for Agerd has been Snake Agerd for ages now. Adrian says West Ham owners won't lose out. They have probably already agreed terms, just laying the grounds to release it. Our store, 50-60 million pounds from Saudi. That's what you would accept. Leon says he would set 60 million and send him to Timbuktu. Gatesy is saying, question, if our spending in this window, assuming we get a centre-back, striker and centre midfielder from today, means one of Paqueta, Suchek or Potts needs to be sold, who do you want to sell and why? Well, I wouldn't sell Potts under any circumstances. I don't know if you mean someone else, but Suchek, I'm not on the same wavelength as everyone else in terms of him, because there's an element of goals consistency and goal contribution consistency from him. Is £20 million enough to... I don't know. I'm worried about dramatic change and then being left with James Ward-Prowse and Guido Rodriguez. So I don't know. It's such a big question, isn't it? £60 million, only if we sign someone else top quality first. Potter player. David says if Paqueta goes, we need at least £60 million, £85 million from Tottenham and replace him with either Elliott, Gallagher or Sudakov. Yep, Gallagher and Elliott would be fantastic. Dawson and Zuma are free. There you go. The cat says, I can't remember when the last Paqueta was either sensational or has been a game changer for us. It's been like he's been a great influence for us on the pitch. I agree with that sentiment a little bit, but I do think that he's... sorry, I'm just reading more stuff coming through just to try and see if there's anything else that I can't see before we go. No, nothing else there. But yeah, he hasn't massively been... Yeah, I get your point. I absolutely do get your point. I do. Either way, people who are brainless don't rate him. We'll see, as per Kudus, just how good the fella actually is. Yep. Gates says we need a Premier League proven centre-back around 30 years old who surpassed the requirements Premier League like Dawson was at Watford. I do think we lack that leadership back in the back line. You know, you look at Tadibo, you look at Kilman, you look at Gerd, for example. You've got Wan-Bissaka, you've got Diouf on the other side. You've got Hermansen as the keeper, Areola. We've got no leadership quality. You would have thought, you know, there was this talk of Kilman being a leader, but he seems really quiet on and off the park. So, yeah, I see your point. A leader of men. Oxlade-Chamberlain on a free. Don't you dare me. Don't you dare. If the choice was to sell Souček, Paqueta or Potts, I'd probably say sell Souček given his age and position in the squad, but would give to be for 17-20 million. He's stuck giving players away on the cheap. Packets in from Mark. Jesus, I thought Chamberlain had received his free bus pass. Souček and Paqueta have 3 goals in the last 2 matches. If we sell them, that seems silly. Well, it is West Ham after all, innit? It is West Ham. Right. That is it for today. I've given you loads of shows. I just wanted to bring you the news. Player refuses to travel with the Force game. It's not Lucas Paqueta. It seems to be that it is Naif Gerd, which would be very disappointing for a West Ham player to be doing it. But anyway, it is what it is. And as long as West Ham can bring in a stronger recruit in that position, then see you later. And if not, then we need to send him packing down to the under-23s and not have him training with the squad, because that's what you don't want in the changing room at all. And that's my problem. I fear there is that. I fear that that's gone into the changing room already. Anyway, join us tomorrow for the Matchday Live content. We'll be bringing it all to you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your comments. Yeah, keep them coming in. Nice to speak to you, and fingers crossed we can get some decent business done over the next few days, and hopefully Paqueta stays and Aguerd goes, and we're all going to be happy. And yeah, we could be Tottenham. We could be Kudus. Come on, your hands.